dispensary in Mount Pleasant. The Supreme Court asked the parties to brief this specific issue, whether patient-to-patient sales of marijuana are legal. So I think the answer is going to be yes, patient-to-patient sales of marijuana are legal. But we'll have to see. And in fact, the law in Michigan, the Court of Appeals maybe got the right result in McQueen, but for the wrong reason. Sales of marijuana are not what's illegal. It's the transfer or delivery, regardless of compensation. If you look at the law, they changed it back around 1970 because it used to be that people could argue, well, they can't prove that there was any money that changed hands. And so they changed it. Well, all we have to prove now is that the cannabis was delivered or the drug was delivered. So we're going to find out whether patient-to-patient sales are legal or not. Looks like the Supreme Court is going to hear that argument around the second week of October, maybe October 9th, 10th, or 11th. I've been monitoring the website daily. I didn't look today, but so far they haven't set a date for oral argument. So if they hear it in October, hopefully we'll have a decision by the end of the year in the McQueen and Compassionate Apothecary case. The million-dollar question about whether a caregiver is limited to their 5 patients or whether a patient-to-patient transfer is legal. They're borderline the same question. And then Ryan Bilesma from Grand Rapids lost a case and appealed, and the question in the Bilesma case, in fact, he lost in the Court of Appeals. And now the Supreme Court is trying to decide whether to hear Ryan's case. And the question they asked the parties to argue in that case is whether cooperatives or collectives are legal in Michigan. And again, I think the answer to that is going to be yes, and that Bill Schuette is going to be wrong, that each patient has to keep their own 12 plants, or that each 12 plants need to be. Remember that? The Attorney General about a year ago said that each 12 plants need to be in their own separate enclosed locked facility. Not one single court has followed that Attorney General's opinion. And then there's a driving case. Rodney Kuhn's case is pending in the Supreme Court. We don't know whether they're going to take it or not, but the question in his case is whether if a person has a medical marijuana card, they have to prove that they're impaired before they can be convicted of driving while impaired. You would think so, right? And I have a similar case in Southfield where we've argued equal protection, that a person who's using Marinol is no different from a person who's using THC. They both have active THC in their system, right? But one's a Schedule 1 and one is a Schedule 3 substance. And with the Schedule 3, they have to prove you're impaired with Marinol. But with the Schedule 1 marijuana, apparently they don't have to. That doesn't make any sense, does it? And what makes sense, right? And Joe Casillas is here today. We have a labor issue that is still pending, as far as I know, where the question is, can they fire you just because you're a medical marijuana patient? I had a nurse call me where somebody found out that the nurse was a medical marijuana patient, and they sent him for drug evaluation. And I said, no, that's all wrong. The law says no person shall suffer their license, their professional licensure shall not be affected by reason of the fact that they're a medical marijuana patient. And he went to some drug abuse counselor who said, marijuana has no medical use, you clearly have a problem, and you probably have a personality disorder to boot. So what a mess. So the labor issues are still long to be ironed out. And so here we are today. So do we want the legislature to amend the medical marijuana law to require a completely enclosed locked facility? What the hell does that mean? The law now says that an enclosed locked facility is defined as a closet, room, or other enclosed area. Well, they're going to change that law to say it's defined as a completely enclosed area. And then check this, that's enclosed on all sides except the floor. Now, we can all argue that both ways, right? Whether there's a roof or not. That is proof that the legislation is not clear. That's how they're going to try to clear up the medical marijuana law for us, right? Does that help? They're going to say enclosed on all sides except the floor. Well, the floor is not a side. Is the roof a side? If it needs a roof, why don't they just say so, right? Can you grow outdoors? You should be able to grow outdoors, shouldn't you? It's a lot less expensive. Some people think it's healthier. It makes a better product. And it's more with nature. And so we need to keep on keeping on. We need the Michigan House has already passed 4 of these bills. Now the Senate Judiciary Committee luckily changed the language in 2 of the bills. The enclosed lock facility issue and the access to the registry. And so we need the Senate, the Michigan Senate, not to take these bills up, or if they do take them up, we need them not to pass, or if they do pass, we need them to pass by less than 3/4, because it takes 3/4 to amend, a 3/4 vote to amend a citizen initiative. Now, they're trying to get around that in the transportation part, where you have to lock it in the trunk, because it doesn't amend the Michigan medical marijuana law. It's a completely separate bill that stands on its own. It only amends the Controlled Substances Act. And so they're going to argue, even though the only way you could have marijuana legally in your possession is if it was medical marijuana, but in the criminal code it says any marijuana, it would be an offense. I believe it's a 2-year offense if you're carrying marijuana in the vehicle where it's not locked in your trunk. So we don't need more criminal laws. We really don't. What we need is for the government to obey the law that we, the people, imposed. And specifically, you know, the new conditions panel, they're supposed to consider, for example, post-traumatic stress was filed as an application over 3 years ago. Somebody asked that they consider post-traumatic stress. And after 3 years, what the government has now done, even though they're supposed to convene a panel, hold a hearing, and make a decision within 6 months, they've done none of that. But 3 years later, they now have a form where you can apply to ask them to consider a new condition. But, yeah, my law partner, Tom Levine, will probably talk about suing them in court. Thank you, Richard. And we feel that's what needs to be done. They're amending the law. Part of their amendment of this law, if they all pass, would be to require that money be appropriated for staff for the committee. And so they're going to claim now that's why they haven't done it, because they didn't have money for staff in order to carry out this mandate of the people. Well, that's outrageous. That is just outrageous, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have the money to pay your fine for your speeding ticket, that's not a good excuse why your driver's license isn't suspended, right? How is it for the government not to have the money to comply with the law? They think that that's acceptable, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if what we want is the Senate to stop playing games with the medical marijuana law and figure out why we don't have the panel for new conditions. And let's get that panel there, and let's convene it, put the physicians on it who need to be there. I think it's 8 doctors and 7 lay people. And let's hear the medical evidence about whether cannabis is helpful for post-traumatic stress, and whether it's helpful for anxiety, and whether it's helpful for several other even physical conditions that have been listed. So meanwhile, Senator Jones has a bill. He's trying to remove glaucoma as a qualifying condition. That's outrageous. There are many people who benefit greatly from the use of cannabis to reduce their intraocular eye pressure from glaucoma. Now, if there are people who are going blind from this, where are they? Where are the patients who the senator claims have been harmed by this? There aren't any. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't believe the bull. Let's go with the science here. You know, marijuana has medical use. It's less harmful than alcohol. There's no reason for it to continue to be illegal. Watch what happens in Oregon and Washington and Colorado this year, where they're going for full legalization. It's going to be quite the good electoral season. There are a lot of other speakers here today, some really good speakers, and when we come back, I hope that we can organize politically in that let's everybody from the Upper Peninsula get together, say down here on the grass in the front, and everybody from the Metro Detroit area get together on this side behind the tent. We'll do that later so that we can start to exert our political power. And West Michigan and Northeast Michigan. Yes. So we'll do that. Is Captain Kirk in the house? Well, just so you know, Captain Kirk was next on the speaker list, and though he isn't here, I'll say it perhaps, well, anyway. He won the Cannabis Cup in Seattle, guys and ladies, for his edibles. How cool is that? So he's probably busy cooking. And the next person I'm pleased to introduce, I saw in the crowd, so I know he's here, a good close friend of mine, a person I trust implicitly, and a hell of a good lawyer, somebody who's committed to the cause and who works hard every day to end marijuana prohibition, to represent people and businesses who need good representation. My law partner, Tom Levine. Tom? Okay, he's probably inside. That's what I get. He was just standing in front of me. I get to do that again in a minute. In the meantime, is Christine Landino in the house? I haven't seen Christine today. Take your time. I can riff on this, Tom. Tom and I have been law partners for 3 years now. I was lucky enough to already be practicing marijuana law when we got the Medical Marijuana Act. And there was another guy who was working with me, a lawyer doing business law, who was afraid to put the word cannabis into his browser to help us register any cannabis companies. And the day he quit, well, I've known Tom for years before that. He and his wife, Andrea, are Green Party members like me and have been for a long time. And I'm a Democrat too, by the way. But it's funny because I had run into Tom a couple of months earlier and said, you know, Tom, I'm just opening this office near downtown Detroit. Why don't you stop by when you get a chance? He walked in the same day the other guy quit. Now, what kind of karma is that, ladies and gentlemen? So, and it's been, you know, a whole lot of fun ever since. And so from there, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Thomas M.J. Levine.
Thank you. It has been fantastic practicing law with Matthew. And this, well, we're at war out there, aren't we? We just filed against LARA, against the MMP. Just this morning, I filed a summons and complaint. This is a petition for a writ of mandamus, mandating that they do what they're required to do under the law. Convene this new conditions panel. They're way late on that. It's crystal clear in the law. They had a deadline by which to convene the new conditions panel. They violated that over 100 times. They think they can get away with anything up here. And then what about the delay of the cards? On and on and on. So many clients have called, oh, I didn't get my plastic card for 6 months, so I got arrested. We know that's happened hundreds and hundreds of times. And at the same time that the state has delayed these cards, we've had clients who never even got them because it was over a year, and the state said, oh, it's too late, we're just not going to issue it. At the same time that the state has been slow in issuing these cards, law enforcement has been treating that as an infraction. So they say, oh, no plastic card, no dice. They've been arresting people and not recognizing the law where it provides that a copy of the paperwork is good after 20 days. But this coming together here today, something that Matt and I were discussing, and Brandy, this is a time to meet other people in your area. So I think Matt had indicated earlier, maybe if you're from the UP congregating, and we'll do it with more granularity maybe later, Metro Detroit over here, I think he said, and maybe we can break it up so some of you have come from the same region, get to know each other, get your local activism together, keep a close eye on local government, and set up a support system so patients who are under attack have some place to go. All right? Now we're ready to rock and roll here. We are moving in the right direction ever since that unanimous Supreme Court decision in King. Let's hear it for the Supreme Court. They demonstrated intelligence and a respect for the law. And it was important that they came down with a unanimous decision in favor of patients' rights. Now, since that King decision, the Court of Appeals has issued a couple more pretty good decisions. We all heard about Turbeek, City of Wyoming, where the City of Wyoming was pointing to federal law, saying, oh, federal law preempts the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, so they passed this ordinance. But the result was the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act preempted their ordinance. And the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act is not preempted by federal law. End of discussion. We live in a system of federalism. It's very basic that this is the case. Dual sovereignty is what we've exercised here. And we will continue to demand our rights under this People's Initiative law. We're not backing off. The state continues to fail to comply. But we've got case law on our side now. We've turned the corner in the right direction. It's trending. The law is trending in our way. So let's bring it forward forcefully. And let's organize here today. Get to know others from your region. Let's get it together. And let's march on. Let freedom reign.
Thank you, Tom. Is that guy a fighter or what? So I think it's a good fit. So y'all got that he filed the lawsuit against the state this morning for the failure to consider the new conditions, right? So can you hear us now? Right. Now it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce a woman who took and ran with it. And Becca Hollingsworth has started the R.C. Randall Memorial Wellness Center. And she'll tell you a little more about R.C. Randall, but he was patient number 1. The first patient ever to get a tin of medical marijuana from the United States government. He started the investigational new drug program. And so Becca, in her wisdom, has started a facility to continue the research and the activism that Robert Randall started, and to carry that on and to carry it forward and to finish the job. And she has some really exciting news for us today. Let me please introduce to you Becca Hollingsworth.
Hello, Michigan. Woo! Whose house is this? Whose house is this? This is our house, Michigan. And you know what? This week we were across the national news all over the place. Not only did Kirk rock out west, we took the west folks with medibles. Let's give Kirk a round of applause, even if he isn't here. This week we were graced from the heavens to have the actual federal IND patients here. Now, if you don't know what that means, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Back in 1976, there's a gentleman whose name was Robert Randall, and he was a glaucoma patient. He ended up growing on his porch because he realized that medical marijuana relieved the pressure in his eyes, which actually saved his sight. Because with glaucoma, when you pinch off that pressure, you have such eye damage that your sight goes. And he won it. And he didn't just win it in any regular court, he won it in a federal court. He is the man who began this movement. He was the very first medical patient ever. Because of him, 34 people around our country were allowed to have medical marijuana provided by the federal government. All of these legislators and everybody here who pays taxes is actually paying a farm down in Mississippi to grow medical marijuana for these remaining living patients. These patients came together this week here in Michigan to join myself and many, many other people from around the state to go and rally against Bill 977. Now, if you're not sure what that is the removal of glaucoma from Michigan's list of conditions. 500 people are going to get their condition stripped when it was the first ever condition on that list. Our 500 patients need protection. Whose house is this? Our house! Whose house is this? Our house! It is our house. We need to be in that Capitol, not just on the front lawn, but they need to hear our voices. They need to hear our phones. Let's raise our voice, Michigan. Are we here? We not only went in there and let our legislators know, hey, if you try to pass this bill, we beat it federally. Do you want to waste our time? Do you want to take away the ability for patients to be able to see? Hell no. I am one of those 500. I am a single mom of 2 girls, and I will be damned if this state will take away the medication that keeps my sight so I can see my children. And if they push this bill through, let me stand here and everybody mark my words. I will personally fight on behalf of those 500 glaucoma patients. We beat it in the federal courts and we can fucking do it again. Now, on top of the accreditation of bringing these federal patients in, we got a little bit more fun coming towards Michigan. This morning, I received an email from the Discovery Channel who's interested in all of the film that was taken from these federal INDs coming in and rocking the Capitol on behalf of us. Woo! Whose house is this? Our house! Whose house is this? Come on, Michigan, I can't hear you. Whose house is this? Now let's bring in some more accreditation to the medical marijuana community. I am extremely proud, and it is a dream come true. Patients at a Time, which is the first medical marijuana organization in America, is joining with us at the R.C. Randall Memorial Wellness Center. We're going to be bringing to Michigan the first college accredited continuing education credits for the American Nurse Association and the doctors of Michigan who want to know about the cannabinoid system. Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Michigan, we are on a mission. We are bringing accreditation. We are bringing patient and caregivers' rights to the surface. We do not deserve to be treated like second-hand citizens, and we will take this no more. Whose house is this? Folks, it is an honor to be up here with you, and there are so many amazing people from around this state who's made this happen. This is our house. We are excited, folks, and on top of that, I got one more amazing announcement. Michigan currently is being looked at to host the Patients Out of Time National Clinical Conference. It's the most accredited conference for medical marijuana in our country. Folks, we're bringing it to Michigan in 2 years. Whose house is this? Whose house is this? They will not take our rights. We will stand up. We will make those phone calls. Do not give up hope. This is not over. We want to work hand in hand with our legislators, our hospital systems. We want to work hand in hand to bring an accreditation that Michigan deserves to have. This is our house. Thank you so much for having me. If you guys are interested in participating and helping with all these great projects, the R.C. Randall Memorial Wellness Center is online. We have a webpage, we have a Facebook. We're actually just down the street if you guys would like to come and see us. And we also now have Canalytics joined with us. So we have one of the top testing labs as well in the state to help guarantee patients and caregivers get quality meds. Our house!
All right, isn't she awesome? Thank you, Becca. Yes. And next, it's my great honor and privilege, Emily, to introduce to you Miss High Times, Emily Aaron.
Hi, Michigan! I am Miss High Times 2012. The first one this side of Colorado. So, yes, I am so honored to see all of you here today and to represent the great state of Michigan for High Times. Just thank you everyone for coming, and we have not lost this by far.
All right, thank you, Emily. That's pretty cool. We've come pretty far now in Michigan, where Miss High Times is actually from Michigan, where we're a medical marijuana state. How great is that? And next on the agenda, and before I introduce these next people, the next few folks in line, please come forward. Vic Briesmond, is Vic here? Okay, and Ben Horner, C.C. Taylor, and Peter O'Toole. And then we will be doing a tribute to Renee Emery Wolf at that point. But now, it's my great honor and privilege to introduce to you a couple of people. Joe Casillas is a fighter. He was working at Walmart, and they fired him for being a medical marijuana patient, and he's been fighting them ever since. And Joe is here today. And the other person with him is his fine lawyer, my good friend Daniel Groh, who has carried on the fight for Joe and who deserves a lot of the thanks for that. And so we'd like to hear from both of them about their experiences in this. Welcome, Dan Groh, Joe Casillas. Everybody.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. It's kind of a sad day, really, though. On the way to pick up Joseph this morning, I stopped for fuel at a gas station, checked my email on my phone, and I saw there was an opinion from the United States Court of Appeals. And it was not good for Joseph, and we're all real sad about that. It was a 2-1 opinion. They found that it was proper for the matter to be before a federal court, even though the dissenting opinion said this is all novel areas of Michigan law. It involves issues specific to Michigan, issues that no federal court has answered. The 2 judges that drafted the lead opinion nevertheless found it within them to decide that Michigan law did not protect people in the workplace. And it might be the end of the line for Joseph's lawsuit. We're still looking at whether there's any further levels of appeal, an en banc decision perhaps, or maybe even application for leave to the United States Supreme Court, but it's just not the thing that usually gets granted another level of appeal. But with that being said, as a brief introduction, Joseph wants to reflect on his battle against Walmart so far, and then I'll have some concluding comments about the battle ahead.
Michigan, I love you. The first thing I would like to say to everyone is,
I want to thank you all for riding with me these last 2 years. Without you people is the reason is why I tried to fight this. Because it's not right for anyone to lose their livelihood over a medicine. If it's okay to take Vicodin and Percocets and Norlanin and whatever else they have at work, but not medical marijuana, what's the difference? I don't see a difference. I think I function well more better than anyone else on some chemical drug. I take a natural herb that heals me. What's wrong with that? But they decided otherwise. But that's okay because it doesn't stop there. I will fight until I find a way. If it's not this case, I will find another way to make this work. I will make this work for every sick person who tries to work. You take that to the bank. I'm coming. I think you all, the way they treat us is not right in a society where you can't even put your kids out in the street alone. It's not safe. Our communities are not safe. There are other crimes that they should be pursuing. There's a lot of other issues in this state that need to be handled besides medical marijuana. This should be the least of their worries. We're just trying to take a medicine to heal our sicknesses and pain. But yet they want to take away our rights, our constitutional rights to live the best life that we can possibly live. And with that, I will let Daniel finish talking. I'm sorry I'm a little broken up about the news today, but I love you all and I promise I will fight until I can't fight any longer. I love you, Michigan.
There's a funny thing called the truth. We know the truth about medical marijuana. We know the truth about law enforcement. We know the truth about what the legislature says about marijuana. We know the truth about Joseph. He's here today because of medical marijuana. He's a medical miracle, and it's because of medical marijuana. And everything we hear about marijuana from the government is false. It's all lies. But this group isn't going to do it alone. We have to get help. Go to your friends, go to your neighbors, go to your coworkers. We have to win the people who don't use marijuana every day, who don't know it's health miracles. We have to reach everyone because this lie needs to be eliminated.
Thank you, Daniel Groh and Joe Casillas, very much. The next speaker is a woman who I've just met, but Vivian Briesman is a journalist and an activist. She was just telling me about a publication called Relief Magazine, and she'll tell us all a little more about it. Vivian, please come forward. All right. Vivian Briesman.
Hi, guys. How are you today? You guys are looking real lively. It's good to see so many people here today. We've been really active lately. I don't know what's going on with our government, but they seem to think that they can keep us down. They seem to think that they're going to just be able to come right in and lay down all these laws, and we're going to lay down and we're going to take it. You know what? I'm so entirely sick of putting down on a job application and being afraid to test because I might test dirty because of marijuana, my medicine. But yet someone who can take Percocet, Vicodin, all of these Xanax by the 10 micrograms that knock a person out. But I'm here, I put the ointments on my joints. Do I look like I'm a patient? I mean, I look normal, just like most of you out here. We're all normal, but it's our choice. Natural is our choice. We don't want to medicate and take care of these pains with toxic synthetics. I write for a magazine called Relief Magazine, and we've been doing, it's a Vermont magazine, and they're doing a lot for the movement on the East Coast. but we're just starting here in Michigan. But looks like it's all starting to happen. So many good people in this movement. I know Joe Kane has been opening up the Jackson Farmers Market for us to come down and make phone calls every day to these people. We've made 300 phone calls to these people, and the only one that answered the phone was Rick Jones. I had a phone call conversation with Rick Jones, the only one out of all of this list of senators that returned our phone call. I don't think that's acceptable, and I think at election time that we're going to let them know that this isn't acceptable. Whose house is this? Are we going to take this bullying? All right, we're going to get together and we're going to knock them out because we're tired of the bullying. All right, then. Thank you, guys, and it's been nice working with everyone.
Thank you, Vivian. The next speaker we're going to hear from, and then we're going to do the Renee Wolf Memorial, so those people who are involved in that, please come up to the stage. In the meantime, this is a guy who never fails to give me a hard time, to call me out when I deserve it, sometimes when I don't deserve it, but no, just kidding, Mark. My good friend, a patient advocate, Mark Sisko, everybody.
How is everybody tonight? Today, this afternoon. Whose house is this? Oh, come on, you guys can do better than that. Whose house is this? That's right, and it's our law. We as a unified people will not be bullied by our politicians. They work for us. We put these voters in office. We have been here before in these trenches. No, we will not be spoken for. We do not want this bills in our laws. We as 63%, like it says right there, 63% is not a fringe element. We will not be spoken for. We are the people. We pay your wages. We are your boss, and by God, the boss is pissed. I say no. They want to make us lock up our meds in our trunks. And hell no. You're right. Hell no. Right there. Rick Jones, leave our sick people alone. Everybody say that. Rick Jones, leave our sick people alone. That's right. They want to shove big pharma garbage down our throats and won't let us have our natural meds. They want to lock up parents and take children away. Come on, we can't have that. We are the people. You guys all, thank you all very much for coming. Where's the next guy? Who we got next? Wanna do the shirts? Oh, Memory Wolf? You go do that, Joe. All righty, bro. Give my hand up for Mark.
Folks, if you can, go see Hoss. He's got some T-shirts. This one's for Renee Wolf. All the proceeds from these T-shirts will go to the family. They're really, really nice. They're going to help settle her final expenses. So, folks, if you can, please help up. I'd like to also, these are for the rally to help us recover some of the costs. If you can, please help us out. I'd like to thank some of the sponsors. We had Michigan Normal. We have the Green Boat people who've done so much good work. A lot of the leading organizations in the states have sponsors on this, and I'd like to thank them with all my heart. Folks, you're doing a great job out here today. Let's rock on!
Thank you, Joe. And please, everybody, please pick up some of these T-shirts. They're going to be collector's items. You know that. And Renee was a good friend. And now, speaking of Renee, Diane Lucky called me last week and said some of Renee's friends were planning a memorial. And would it be okay? Could they have some time? Absolutely, absolutely. And Diane, please come forward and handle this memorial as you feel is appropriate.
Thank you, Matt. Hello, Michigan. How many of you remember Renee Wolf? Everybody. Well, some of us ladies, and as well as all of you, Renee meant an awful lot to us. And Terry Menendez wrote something, and she'd like to read it for y'all. Terry.
Hello, my name's Terry Marentet. and I'm here today in honor of Renee Emery Wolf. She was given to the Angels on 9/11 at 4:20. I had the privilege and honor to meet Renee Wolf 20 years ago. And as time passed, I watched her body deteriorate more and more with time. But what I remember most about Renee is all through those years, whenever asked how she was doing, she always smiled her big, beautiful smile and said, "I'm staying calm." On August 17th, I was thrilled to see Renee at the Medical Marijuana Conference in Ann Arbor and spend some time with her. When I heard Renee Wolf Cannabis Camp was happening at 4:20 on my birthday, which was 9/7, which was also the anniversary of the rally last year for this same thing, it was the one and only time that we spoke together. So I convinced my husband and a few other OAR Michigan Normal members to go to Uncle Pete's, which hosted this event in Renee's honor. I was heartbroken when we had to leave before she got there. The next morning, my dear friend Lisa Davis, who's going to speak after me, texted me and said, "We saw an eagle today chasing vultures away. Maybe this is our sign." And another later saying that Renee had made it to camp. When I got to camp, everyone was deeply concerned about Renee's health. They're trying to prepare me, but nobody could prepare me for what I saw. I knew that Renee Emery Wolf went to cannabis camp to die with her family that she loved. I had to go and gather my thoughts and let other people know that this is how I truly felt. When I went back to Renee, I was able to tell her that our activism in Michigan made the news all the way to Hawaii. Yeah. This news was enough to get Renee to eat. And while she was eating, I teased her. I said, "Renee, I know why you had to come to camp today. You came to camp today because you knew we would be the train to get you back to the station." She smiled, grabbed my hand tighter, and she said, "Oh, that makes me so proud." That's when I promised Renee that if she couldn't be here today, that I would speak in her honor. As time went on that evening, the longer I sat with Renee, the more I became aware of the natural euphoria as she smiled and watched her cannabis family sharing love and compassion around a bonfire. When I left camp, I knew Renee was where she wanted to be, and everyone that was there helped her to the best of their ability. She helped us to get where we are today. She stood up for this cause, regardless of the consequences. Today, it is us, we the people, that came to chase the vultures away from our law, that we the people passed by 63%. Renee Wolf has been given over to the angels, and for her, pursuit of happiness meant a quality of life. She demanded it, and we should too. I demand to have some quality of life. It should be a right and not a privilege. There's a memorial service for Renee later on this evening at 6 o'clock at the Clarion in Ann Arbor, And at this time, I'd like to introduce a fellow warrior, Lisa Davis, who was with me at camp.
Thank you. Thank you for everybody showing up. It means a lot, especially when I know Renee's looking down on us, saying, yeah! Renee was an inspiration to me and to everyone else who had the good fortune to meet her. She made me personally feel thankful for every little blessing. Because no matter how much pain she was in, she always had that smile. She always stayed calm. And I can still hear her say, "Hi, beautiful." She worked so hard for change that she made me want to work harder. When I was locked up in federal prison, it was great to know she lit up in the senator's office and didn't give a damn. So, even as her health deteriorated, her determination only got stronger. And when you see somebody so ravaged by illness, willing to do so much, it just makes you want to do more. She was a true pioneer for legalization, not medical, not industrial hemp, but all of it. Because she said, it's a sick world. It's all medicine. She believed everyone should have safe access to the treatments for their illness, whichever illness that may be, even if it's just a sick world. And basically, I'm glad to see us all here. What we need to do is stop losing the ground that we're losing and come together. Forget all those differences and be at peace. We are responsible now for her mission, which is to end the unjust war on drugs, for everybody to be able to walk free in the light and the smoke of the herb. So let's all be beautiful. As Renee called us, put our differences aside, stand your ground, don't let them take any more, and work together for change. Because we can all do this. We can all be warriors. It's up to us now. We may have lost a wonderful warrior, but we now have a guardian angel. Thank you. Amy Gaslight, sorry.
Thank you.
I get nervous.
We all have Renee in our hearts. The activists, the freedom fighters, us patients, caregivers. She worked the world for us. She opened up the highway for us to march right on down there and make this right for all of us patients. And this building and those elected officials are not going to change this, and Renee wants us to continue on. She just made it so important to all of us that were around her to always know that we never stop. We always move forward. We always let everyone we ever come in contact with know that cannabis is good medicine and not bad medicine. It's not the drug cartel. It's your brother, your sister, your neighbor, your friend, a local doctor. It's all of us. We're all patients, and none of us are safe until all of us are safe. Renee worked so hard to the end to make sure that all of us would be safe. And although she had to get off the train at this moment, it didn't stop, and we're going to continue for her and always make this happen for us patients in this state. We are not bowing down to a little governor that thinks he's going to take shit from us. He's not. And the pharmaceuticals, they're up in Copper Harbor trying to make pharmaceutical medicine for us. They already have it in the paper that they can sustain for 131,000 of us patients. Bullshit. We can sustain for ourselves. That's what this is about. No matter how hard we work in our little communities, we still have to unite, because divided we will fall. And our lawmakers have been betting on that for 4 years. And some of us, whether we're just that measly little patient that came out of the closet in our little neck of the woods, we still stand strong. We stand with Renee and everything she ever taught us, and the most of it was compassion. That woman had more compassion than anyone I've ever met in my life. All I can say at this point really is that we need to continue this. We are all activists, freedom fighters. We need to continue in the name of Renee, Gregory Starks, everyone, Swampy, everyone that's passed from us since the beginning of our program. They were really the forefighters, the ones that stood till the end. And I sure the hell will be here till the end. And bless you all. Thank you for coming.
Let me bring this up a little bit so I don't have to bend too much. As y'all know, I got really bad eyes, so I'm sorry for putting the book so close to my face, but I got a couple of things that I definitely think that Renee would want me to share with y'all today here. I'm free. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path that God has laid for me. I took his hand when I heard him call, and I turned my back and I left it all. I could not stay another day to laugh, to love, to work or play. Task left undone must stay that way. I found that place at the close of the day. In my parting, if my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy, a friendship, shared laughter, a kiss. Ah, yes, these things I too will miss. Be not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. My life's been full, I've savored much. Good friends, good times, and a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seem all too brief. Don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your heart and share with me. God wanted me now, he set me free. We love you, Renee, and we know you're watching down on us.
You are beautiful.
Yes, you are, Renee Emery Wolf. You are a beautiful woman and a beautiful warrior. Although death has separated us physically, faith and love have bound us eternally. Though we cannot see you, we know you are here. Though we cannot touch you, we feel the warmth of your smile as we begin a new chapter in our lives. Today, we pause to reflect upon those who have shaped our character and molded our spirits and touched our hearts. May the ringing of this bell be a reminder of the memorial that we have shared together here today, a representation of the everlasting impact you have made upon our very lives. Let us bow our head for a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to ask Les, if he would, to come up and put on his guitar. And I'm going to ask something very special out of each and every one of you that are here. I thought it'd be very appropriate, and I know that Renee would love it, and she is here with us in spirit. And I can remember many times that Renee used to sing to me. She actually would sing to me. So what I want to do is I want us to sing to her today. And I know that all of you out there have got to know the words to Amazing Grace. So if you feel like joining along with me, please join along. Let's sing it out, and let's sing it for Renee Emery Wolf. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. I was blind, but now I see. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
We all will miss Renee Emery Wolf, and but her cause will go on. She inspired a lot of people, and you know that she would want us to keep on until this fight is over, and where patients can get medicine and where marijuana is legal for any purpose. Everybody knows it's less harmful than alcohol and tobacco, and so it's time to have some truth in science. Prohibition is over. The government just doesn't know it yet. And I stole that line from John Sinclair, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know. The prohibition is over. The government just doesn't know it yet. John's a little bit ahead of some of us, but that's what John said. And speaking of John Sinclair, this is a nice segue. John is from Flint originally, and he's taken a liking to another young journalist from Flint named Ben Horner. And we have Ben here to speak with us this afternoon. Welcome, Ben Horner.
Hi, folks. Wasn't Renee great? She was really awesome. She always came to everything, you know, and showing up is half the battle. So everyone give yourselves a round of applause for showing up today. If you don't know me already, my name is Benjamin Horner. I write for the Triple M Report magazine. And I started something in the beginning of this year called the Vote Green Initiative Project. The idea is that this November that we'll have impact in the elections, both on a state basis and locally. This is kind of the boring stuff, but it's important. Showing up to the protests and the rallies are important. Showing up at the polls is equally important, and letting the people in Lansing know that if they don't do what we say, then they're going to be fired. Right. So right now we've got 5 local initiatives throughout the state of Michigan to decriminalize or remove penalties or make it the lowest priority possession of cannabis of an ounce or less. And that's the beginning of something that could change things at the state and in the whole country for cannabis forever. In Colorado this year, they're going to vote to regulate marijuana like alcohol. The first $40 million goes to the General Education Fund. They tax it up to 15%. There's full cooperation with the state and the patients and caregivers. In Colorado, the patients and caregivers get together once a month and meet with their lawmakers. Why are the lawmakers here in Lansing ignoring us? I think it's because of greed. I think that greed is the root of all evil. They say money, but I say it's greed. We have some issues with greed within our own community, and it's a tough subject, and no one wants to talk about negative things, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right. So we've got some problems with caregivers hoarding medicine and not sharing it. So if you're hoarding medicine, please share. Okay. We've got some problems with some cyberbullying and some bullying within clubs of people that don't want to cooperate. So, you know, if you're a victim of bullying in the medical marijuana community, please speak up against it. And if you're a bully, please stop. Yeah. Also, it's very important that we share information as much as possible. All right? Holding on to information or specific genetic lines is not very compassionate. So share everything. All right. And most importantly, in our community, we've got a lot of issues with personal egos. So let's try to put our personal egos aside so that we can get some stuff done. Okay. Now, we know about the greed on the other side. You know, we know about big pharma. We know about big alcohol. We now are learning about big marijuana. Does anyone here know what big marijuana is? Big marijuana is the White Pines Mountain group and other large groups that would like to take the cottage industry away from us. Are we going to let them do that? All right. So at some point today, if you get a chance, there's a white tent over there, and there's some position papers on the 4 bills that are in the House that threaten our laws the most. So I would encourage you folks to call up your lawmakers and talk to them about those 4 bills and let them know that you care and you're not going away. This is the 3rd rally this year that I've been to, and they just keep getting bigger. More people keep showing up. Right. That's right. That's right. One of the things that prevents people from coming out is fear. There's a lot of people that are really afraid to stand up for their rights. But I'm really happy that here in Lansing, people are starting to shed their fear. I think a big round of applause should go out to the folks at the Randall Memorial Center for having the courage to open. Folks, here's another tough subject that a lot of folks don't like to talk about, and that's fear in the courtroom. If you have an attorney that is scaring you into taking a plea, fire them. Have the court appoint you a new attorney, and if they don't accept the fact that you want to plead not guilty, fire that one too. When you fire them, write a letter to the judge saying that you fired them. That makes it official. Another thing that you can do that a lot of lawyers won't tell you is you can request a speedy trial from your peers in front of a jury, and you won't be postponed in court indefinitely. In many places throughout Michigan, there are cases pending, and people are afraid to push for a jury trial. I think that if we all work hard to stand behind each other when we're having these tough court cases, instead of marginalizing the person for being out of compliance in one way or another, that will be very effective. But we have to have the courage to do it together. Even if all the attorneys say don't do it, because it's harder for them in a jury trial. So some of them won't have you do it. So have the courage to take this case to the jury. Alcohol prohibition ended in the courtroom. So there's a good chance marijuana prohibition will end in a similar fashion. All right, another topic of conversation that is not popular is what's going on in the federal government in regards to medical marijuana and cannabis laws in general. In California, there has been a series of raids on large commercial grows and dispensaries that will continue. In the Olden memo, the federal government gave some guidelines for people that are participating in the medical marijuana industry in order to not have to deal with federal problems. What they said was there can be no violence, there can be no guns, there could be no kids, there could be no excessive money making, there could be no organized crime or money laundering. Those are the rules. If you stay in a small economy of scale, then the federal government will leave you alone as a general rule. So if there is any misunderstanding about that, let it be clear that the federal government is allowing the state medical marijuana programs to exist as long as you're not trying to make $1 million doing it. So greed gets you nowhere. Greed's the root of all evil. So pay attention to the Ogden memo because not many people are. Another important issue that you folks should think about at all times is multi-jurisdictional task forces. What is a multi-jurisdictional task force? Well, a lot of people here already know what a multiple jurisdictional task force is because we've experienced them in one way, shape, or form. Who here likes multi-jurisdictional task forces? No. Okay. One of the things about multi-jurisdictional task forces is it allows law enforcement to break their own rules and to operate in a free-floated way. The only way we're going to break the stranglehold that multi-jurisdictional task forces have is in the courtroom and by challenging our local prosecutors and sheriffs. And smoke more. Yeah. This November, every sheriff and prosecutor is up for election. We need to find sheriffs and prosecutors that are going to protect us. All right. In Lapeer County, we need FIC. We need to get rid of that jerk that's there right now. All right. Who else has a sheriff or a prosecutor that needs to go? Jessica Cooper. She needs to go. Oakland County. Jessica Cooper has to go. All right. It's very important this November that we pay attention and get really involved. We have 5 cities that we have the chance to change laws and city codes for that could be the catalyst for a state change in the future. If you'd like to volunteer your time to help set up signs in the precincts in those 5 cities, please sign up at the volunteer booth over at that white tent. We have Detroit, Flint, Grand Rapids, Jackson, Kalamazoo, or Ypsilanti, not Jackson. Woo. All right, folks, I want to thank you for all coming out, and I want to thank Joe Kane. You know, a lot of people don't appreciate Joe Kane the way I do. And a lot of people have tried to marginalize this great man. And guess what? He's still here. And everyone's still here. So thank you for not giving up the hope, not letting them divide us, and staying strong together.
All right, Ben Horner. And everybody make sure you read the MMM report for all the latest news and information. And they have some of the best jokes in there, too. They're old, but, you know, you got to laugh at them anyway. They're pretty funny. The next person to grab the microphone is the founder of Michigan Moms United for Medical Marijuana. And that's what we need, more women in this movement. And this person is a strong woman who will tell you what she thinks and will tell the lawmakers what she thinks and will help to persuade them. She's an author and an activist and my good friend, Sharmi Golson, everybody.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Joe, for organizing this rally today. Brothers, how are you doing today? Sisters? Before I get started, I have something I want to say to the individuals who've been walking by and sort of snickering at us. I've been sitting on this side of the stage watching that go down. Yeah, does it look like I think that's funny? Yeah, I see nothing funny with a policy that puts hundreds of thousands of Americans in handcuffs every year and gives them an arrest and a conviction and creates barriers to housing and employment and education. It's not funny to me, folks. Why are these legislators working so hard to change our law? So they can continue to enforce the Controlled Substance Act on us. It is far too profitable for law enforcement to stop arresting and charging us and taking our belongings. And it's because our asset forfeiture laws allow law enforcement to take everything we own without ever charging us with a crime or conviction, obtaining a conviction. I've been telling legislators for the last 2 years this. No one believed me initially, the legislators. Really, they didn't believe me. So I learned how to take the law, send the law to them. It's been a little easier to convince them of the asset forfeiture abuses because they can read the damn law and see what it says. However, convincing legislators that their drug task forces and their Michigan State Police are assaulting people on a regular basis, they're victimizing medical marijuana patients and caregivers, and they're not in any way respecting our law, that's been a little more difficult. However, I have a solution for that. The reason I formed Michigan Moms United is because I had the wonderful experience of driving the state for 4 or 5 days every 3 months, delivering the Midwest Cultivator. And I sat with people in their compassion clubs and in coffee shops and in their homes, and I listened to them tell me the same damn story over and over and over again. I was in my plant count. I was following the law. They showed up, they kicked me around, and they took my cars and all my cash. Repeat across the country every day. So, we formed Michigan Moms United because right here on these very steps about, 2 or 3 years ago, no, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, Chuck Ream called me and pulled a marker and said, I need for you to come speak at the Capitol. So I came here, and on the way, this kid that gave me a ride told me about getting busted by the Oakland County Narcotics Enforcement Team, getting tased. They had files 2 inches thick on him and all of his friends for selling pot to each other. Tens of thousands of dollars extracted from these families. And I had just been reading about the rate of incarcerated women since the rise of the drug war in the mid-'80s when they started escalating it. So I was already very angry. And when I got to these steps, Chuck gave me a bullhorn and I started yelling. And I started saying, listen, as a mother, you are not going to do this to anybody else's child anymore. You are not going to do this to my child. And I need women of color to come and stand next to me. We need black grandmothers and we need white soccer moms. And all these women came out of the crowd and stood next to me, lined up next to me. And I was just like, oh shit. Now what do I do? Now I have to actually do something. And 2 years later, we've got an organization up and running. You like my shirt? Look at my new shirt. Haas made a shirt for us. Michigan Moms United on the back, and on the front it says, don't make me stop this country. And if you don't know what that means, if your mother never said to you, don't you make me stop that car, you knew to shut your face and stop poking your brother. And the mothers are here. I'm telling you, the mothers are here, and you are not going to do this to anyone else. Now, our good friend Haas, who made these shirts for us, got raided recently. They buzzed his land with a helicopter. They took his stuff. That's one of literally 15 people that I've talked to on the phone in the last 5 days. And these criminal defense attorneys, Mr. Abel here, Dan Groh, who's here, Tom Levine, they'll tell you the same thing. It's heart-wrenching. I don't know how these guys get out of bed every morning and go to work every day when they know their hands are tied, because the laws have to be changed. Don't you talk to me about adjusting our Medical Marijuana Act so that it suits you, so that you can continue to arrest us. We're going to change the laws. We're going to create asset forfeiture reform so that those guys have to get a conviction before they take our stuff. And then we're going to create drug task force accountability. I'm not messing around. I'll tell you that right now. Now, I don't think any of us would have blamed Renee if she didn't get out of bed and come to these events. Nobody would have said, where's Renee Wolf? She's not showing up. Nobody would have blamed her at all. But that woman climbed out of bed every morning, and she got herself ready, and she came over and over again. I saw her at every event. She was a warrior. God bless you. God love you, Renee. She wanted us to continue her dream. I went to the funeral of 5 young men in August, 21, 22, and 24. We buried those boys. I sat with Greg Starks as he transitioned. I sang to him. I told him we loved him. And it's changed me in ways that I can't even articulate. It's created this ability to live in the moment. What a beautiful day to be clothed in human skin. Thank you. What a beautiful day to be clothed in human skin. Renee wanted us to continue her dream. So you won't be seeing me and Robin Schneider at Renee's memorial tonight, because I'm staying right here in Lansing, and we're meeting with Clyde Smith, who is running for Ingham County Sheriff. And then tomorrow, we're going to go talk to the Michigan State Police. And we're going to explain to them that I have armloads of white Republican mothers who are very angry that their husbands and sons are being raided and incarcerated for following the damn law. And we're going to explain to them that their Michigan State police officers, in relationship with these drug task forces, are violating people's constitutional rights, and they're not respecting the Medical Marijuana Act. And I'm going to continue to take armloads of victims to these legislators until they believe us when we say that this war destroys families, it does nothing to decrease drug use or the flow of drugs into society, and it does absolutely nothing to make society safer. Zip. One last thing. Mothers created alcohol prohibition in the early 1900s. They said, this is crazy. Our men are drunk. Let's make this illegal. And then after 10 years, they realized our kids were dying from an unregulated product, from bathtub gin. Police corruption was rampant. And we had violence surrounding this unregulated market. So then mothers just like me and you and you and you ended alcohol prohibition in the courts and in the streets and in the libraries. And that's where we need to go now, and to tell people, hey, I'm not a criminal. I'm a mother, and I'm a damn good one. Hey, and speaking of legislators that really need our support, I'm very pleased and honored to introduce Representative Jeff Irwin from my hometown of Ann Arbor. He's a champion of our rights. Please give him a big round of applause, and please give him your money.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for coming out. I just wanted to say a couple words before I went in there to do my duty and vote on behalf of the citizens I represent. And I wanted to... thanks. Thanks for all your support. I just want to thank you all for coming out to the Capitol again and working on your issue. As you know, we had a number of bills introduced last year that were going to greatly diminish the beneficial effects of the citizen initiative that we all passed overwhelmingly in the state of Michigan back in 2008. And I think all of us, I join you in being concerned about the implications of that legislation. I think we're all concerned about law enforcement access to the registry and what could happen if some unscrupulous elements were to have a hit list in their hands of people to go after, people to raid. That's right, people to raid, people whose lives to disrupt. We don't want to see that happen. We're also very concerned about what could be contrived to built up around this bona fide doctor relationship. But what I'm really here to say is that it was because of the efforts of all of you coming here to Lansing, coming to the Capitol lawn for these types of events, going into the offices of your legislators, meeting with your legislators back home in their districts, and telling them your stories. That's what's changed the legislation so much from where it was when it was first introduced to where it is now. And it's quite a bit better. But as you know, these bills are up for debate right now in the state Senate, and I'm encouraging all of you to call your senator. Let your senator know how you feel. Let them know your story, your personal story, and communicate to them what your concerns are about this legislation, because your efforts have made a difference. all the advocacy that I've seen over the course of the last 2 years from your community has made a big difference. And the bills that we're looking at now, the bills that we're debating and trying to approve now, are better than they were a year and a half ago. And I hope that if and when they ever do get passed, that they're better than they are today. And it's only going to happen if all of you stay involved and keep doing the work you're doing here on the Capitol lawn, but even more importantly, back in your communities, speaking to your legislators back home. So sign up for their email lists. Go to their coffee hours. Make sure that your story is front and center. Shout out loud! Make sure that your story is front and center in their mind. Because I'll tell you what, when a medical marijuana patient comes up in front of one of us lawmakers and they drop their bag of pills on the table and they say, because of medical marijuana, I was able to get away from all these terrible and toxic narcotics, and I'm living a better life. I'm able to have a greater quality of life. I'm able to be present in my life with my family, and that's the minimum that I need. So tell your stories, keep telling your stories, get your friends and neighbors involved, make sure you vote this November, and make sure you vote for people who are going to support your rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Representative Jeff Irwin from Washtenaw County, one of our friends in the legislature. We need to keep Representative Irwin there, and he's working for us. And it's nice to have some people who agree with patients' rights. Thank you very much, Jeff. Representative Irwin. Yeah, we need to find somebody to run against Rick Jones in 2 years. Anybody here from Eaton Rapids? Anybody here from Eaton County? Okay, well, we need you. Is CC Taylor here? Miss Taylor is my new good friend who is a journalist and an activist and a fighter here with us in Lansing, Michigan today. I'm pleased to introduce to you Miss CC Taylor.
Hi, everybody. How you doing today? We'd be better if we didn't have to be here telling them to leave us alone and leave our act alone, right? Right. All right. I have been a medical marijuana patient and advocate for many years. I'm here today to exercise my rights and defend my rights as a patient along with the rest of you that are here today. So thank you for joining me. For the past 4 years, I have watched my hero, my father, slowly deteriorate due to hepatitis C, cirrhosis, and eventually liver cancer. He has had 1 round of chemo and radiation already for a tumor and is going back next month because his tumor came back in the same spot, along with another one. After convincing him that medical marijuana could help him with his symptoms and side effects from both his cancer and the awful medications that he has to take, which is actually even worse for his liver, which is what he has cancer of. So how is that supposed to make him any better? I started to see an increase in his appetite, energy, and his weight. I started to feel like I had my dad back again for the first time in the past 4 years. He has told me how much better he has felt since he started using medical marijuana as his alternative medication. Although now he is reconsidering renewing his certification because he does not want to be harassed by law enforcement agencies. He's dying. He knows this. He wants to live his last days in peace. Leave him be. Now, along with Vivian, Rebecca, and myself, I am also a single mom. And after watching what happened to James Barber and his son, he's a state-sanctioned medical marijuana patient. What would happen if my reason for being, my reason for life got taken away from me because of the way that I choose to medicate? That is not right. Therefore, none of us should be criticized or harassed for the medicine that we take for our illnesses. Cancer is a word, not a sentence. Cancer patients can choose life. They can choose to live. Just like that little boy that was out here in the crowd. Where is he at? He is not a criminal. He does not need to be condemned. Right there, thank you. Thank you. Right there. He does not need to be criticized because he is unfortunately sick.
Do not let the politicians take away our right to life, our right to our pursuit of happiness, and the way that we choose to medicate ourselves because we feel that it is better for us. Thank you for your time today, everybody.
Thank you, CC. What a great, inspiring speech. The next person has a wealth of knowledge, and he's been running a camp, and he'll tell us about it. Uncle Pete's Cannabis Camp. Peter O'Toole, everybody.
My name is Uncle Pete. Medical marijuana made my life better today. When I first registered as a patient, I was adamant about how to follow this law. I was very happy to find out that I could legally exist on the right side of the law for once. This validated everything that I've stood up for since I was a young man. I studied the law. I sent an email to Melissa Peters, the director of the program at the time. I wanted to know how to legally transport marijuana. I wanted to know how to legally medicate. I wanted to know how to follow this law to be a legal, abiding citizen. I spent a lot of time reading about people online getting caught within their limits, still being arrested, still being taken to jail. It was as if the law had done no good at all. I didn't believe this could ever happen to me. But within 30 days of having my paperwork, I was pulled over in Bay County with a legal amount of medication. Trooper Stoppa at the time proceeded to tell me that he doesn't believe in the Medical Marijuana Act. He doesn't believe that the Medical Marijuana Act is valid. He decided he was going to take my medicine, charge me with a couple of felonies, put me in jail, all that good stuff. We went to Bay County, and I told him, I said, what I did was within my legal rights. There's nothing that you can do to make me take a plea. What I did was not against the law. After a few court cases, or a few court dates down there, we beat that case. It was only another couple months before I caught another one. Roscommon County decided they'd jump in line and give me a round. We showed up that day with about 55 people, 3 lawyers. Took about an hour and a half. That case was gone. The whole point of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act is to protect us from things like this. From illegal search, from illegal seizure, illegal arrest, and illegal prosecution. The one thing that in my case, in Ann Wilbur's case, Terry Provost's case, and many of the other cases I've been to, you know, the first thing we did when law enforcement showed up is we informed them, I'm a medical marijuana patient. I'm a medical marijuana caregiver. Therefore, I'm entitled to certain protections under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. They don't want to believe that. They don't think that's true. I say that's bullshit. Because I believed in this law, I was 100% legal, and I refused to take a plea. There were no convictions. The day the police showed up at my house with a terrorist squad and a battering ram, I instantly became an activist. I began to learn about people like Leonard Peltier, John Sinclair, and others that have served time for victimless crimes. But for the grace of God, there went I. I got involved with the medical marijuana community. I started a local compassion club in Houghton Lake. I started an event called Cannabis Camp. Cannabis Camp. When we first started Cannabis Camp, it was to celebrate our freedom, celebrate our rights to choose our own medicine. And we thought that was enough of a reason to throw a party. Throughout this event, we slowly started discovering the medical qualities of marijuana. We started extracting some of the oils. We started donating them to a lot of people across the state. In particular, Rick Simpson oil. First batch of Rick Simpson oil I ever made was Memorial Day weekend of this year out at Cannabis Camp. Since then, I don't even think I could begin to put into words the emotional, the spiritual, the just general roller coaster ride that we've been on since then. We've watched people in wheelchairs get up and walk. We've seen people on their deathbeds with stage 4 cancer with no hope from their doctors. Their doctors told them, you go home and die. There's nothing we can do for you. We watch them very same people get up out of those beds and live. We got Tom G over here on the grass. Right there is the #1 cancer survivor I know, and we love you, Tom. There's a lot more like Tom. You know, after I got things settled down on the legal front, and I started working with all these patients, I started becoming popular with Cannabis Camp. Things seemed real great, real perfect. It was at that time that my personal health started taking a dive. I was making multiple trips to the hospitals with all kinds of symptoms that doctors couldn't recognize. In the end of that, I was diagnosed with diabetes and hepatitis C. I've got the exact same strain of hepatitis C that our good friend Swampy had. My prognosis wasn't so good. I didn't like their treatment plan. I didn't like what they had to offer me. They offered me a 1-year treatment plan, including chemotherapy, things like my hair falling out, all that good stuff. I started taking the Rick Simpson oil out of desperation. And the difference in my life is best described in a letter that was written from my daughter to Rick Simpson. She never had the opportunity to read this to Rick. We did an interview with him. But I'd like to read it here today if I could find it in my notes. Sorry about that. Got the wind messing with me up here. The letter here from my daughter to Rick Simpson is pretty simple, and it says a lot about my condition and what Rick Simpson oil did for me. It begins, "Thank you, Mr. Simpson. If it wasn't for you, my dad wouldn't be able to be here, because he might be in the hospital getting more prescriptions that would only make him worse. But since you made this oil, he can now do a lot of things that he couldn't do before, like canoeing. We do that a lot. He was doing really bad with his hepatitis C and was always laying down. I haven't seen him take a nap because of pain in a long time. Again, thank you, Mr. Simpson, for helping my dad." Through Cannabis Camp, I've had the opportunity to meet, greet, teach, learn with a lot of people. I think the proudest I've ever been was the day that I realized I've got 3 little warriors I'm raising of my own at my home. Emmy, Emma, Casey, Tyler, I'm proud of every one of you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you all for coming out, and have a great day. Medical marijuana made my life better today.
All right. Thank you very much, Uncle Pete. The next person is the other partner in the Robert C. Randall Memorial Wellness Center. A person who's been an activist for a good long time and who may be somewhat quiet behind the scenes but is doing the hard work that a lot of people never see. My good friend, Mark Leishore.
Thanks. I want to thank you all for coming out today. My name is Mark Leisure. I work at the R.C. Randall Memorial Wellness Center. Do things like lobbying down here in the Capitol, trying to educate our lawmakers and senators, House reps, trying to present the other side of the story to them, the patient side. So I'm very proud of all of you to be out here in opposition to these unjust bills that they're trying to push through the House and Senate right now. It would pay for you to do a little investigating, find out who your senator is, your House reps, and get in contact with them. Take the time to write them a letter. Today with the internet, doesn't take much effort. Slap a stamp on an envelope, send them the hard copy too. It actually says a lot when they receive that. So there was about 11 bills that they had put in recently. Matt had let us know about 4 of them's already made into law. We don't want the other ones to go any further. They can die for all we care in there. But they're going to end up on the governor's desk. He's basically going to sign them into law. If we don't do our part and protect our people's initiative, we're going to lose parts of it, a little bit at a time, while we're separated, not talking to each other, not networking, not being one force for these people in here to reckon with. Still today, we have to deal with the ignorance of closed minds, intolerance. We're just trying to be normal citizens. We're just trying to have quality of life. Quality of life. A lot of people take that word quality of life for granted. It really means a lot, but so many people out there just take it for granted. I recommend that we organize with our other like-minded constituents in our own local area. Stay on top of the bills that are being introduced in your city. The laws that the ordinance that they're trying to put forward in your cities can affect you just as much as these state bills, these state laws. We need to be there at the judiciary hearings. See, we dropped the ball. When they put these 11 bills out, we really dropped the ball. We were enjoying our People's Initiative law. We were enjoying having quality of life again. Well, there's a lot of us taking care of sick people. And like Ben, basically what I want to say, I'm a member of a compassion club. That compassion club turned my life around. I was definitely not experiencing quality of life there for a while. I got in a car accident, drunk driver hit me, left me real depressed, all right? But when I found that compassion club, I was very fortunate because there was a whole bunch of great people there. They became more like a family to me. So you guys heard a little bit about Bill 977 earlier. That's a ridiculous, inhumane bill. I want to tell you about another bill that I've been lobbying against in here too. It's called SB 17. Now, Senator Jones introduced this bill. Basically, when we talked to him, he said he introduced the bill because he doesn't like the marijuana bars. Now, that bill definitely entails a lot more than marijuana bars. It actually will prevent compassion clubs from gathering. It'll basically push us into our own home, if we own it and don't, to medicate. We can't gather together and have a holiday dinner because we have one thing in common. We're all cannabis patients. That's ridiculous. So find out who your senator is, find out who your reps are, take the time, write a letter, call them, and just bother them. That's their job. I definitely want to wrap this up by saying thanks. There's a lot of other people here with a good message, so I'm going to try to be fast. Please make sure that you stay on top of your local city officials, stay on top of your state reps. In 2008, medical cannabis drew over 3 million votes. 3 million votes. That's the highest vote total ever in Michigan on any ballot line, ever. Today we have a movement firmly footed in the tradition of nonviolent civil protests. just like this one. Our procedures have been just. Our reason is just. That's it. Thanks for coming out tonight. We're going to keep fighting for equal treatment. We're not second-class citizens.
Thank you, Mark Leisure. All right. Another activist and fighter for the cause. Christine? Christine's been here the whole day, and now I call her, and she's not standing there. But there you are. All right. She's moved up to a higher level, apparently. A true citizen activist, Miss Christine Beebe.
Whose house is this? My name is Christine, and I am a Michigan medical marijuana patient and caregiver. Last night I prepared this poem to share with you, a patient, advocate, caregiver, supporter, Democrat, Republican, third party, black, white, or if you are a non-supporter for our medicine and our rights, hear my words. Lies. We have political lies, community lies. Then there are lies about religion, lies about sex, lies about individualism, lies about government. We have lies about lies. Lies about economy, lies about military, lies about corporations, lies about health, lies about marriage, lies about family. We have lies about history, about our beginning, and about our very ending. Lies about rules, lies about education, lies about what is beautiful, lies about life, lies about death. We have lies about authority, lies about happiness, lies about right, lies about wrong, lies about you, lies about me. Then we have the biggest lie of all. We, the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Next speaker, Victor Vicious is his code name. Vic's been a fighter for the cause for a long time, and if I ever mess up, Vic will be one of the first people to ever tell me. That's for darn sure. Here he is.
But I haven't been for a long time because I'm not old enough to be for a long time, right? How y'all doing today? The thing that I want to talk about is real simple. It's recreational marijuana. Recreational marijuana is the #1 cash crop grown inside of this country. And because of that fact, I can tell you that recreational marijuana is not under any idea of control. In Michigan in 2007, according to John Getman, we wrote Marijuana in Michigan, there are 998,000 recreational marijuana users in the state of Michigan. And I checked, they don't even have a registration process for them. You can't register, you don't have to, all you gotta do is go buy some marijuana. Marijuana is not the #1 drug problem in this country. Somewhere around here, somebody has the sign that I used when we were collecting signatures to put this on the ballot. And on the bottom of that sign, it talked about the problems that we had with prescription drugs. Well, prescription drugs and alcohol are right there together now, actually. Prescription drugs kills more people than alcohol does right now. It kills more people than are killed by accidents in the entire United States. In 2012, there'll be 40,000 people who lose their lives because they took prescription drugs recreationally that will die from it. That doesn't sound real good to me. I don't do alcohol. Yeah, well, good. Okay. So what you want to talk about with your senators when you're talking with them is, look, there are 5 times at least as many recreational marijuana users in the state of Michigan as there are registered patients. So why are you guys wasting your time on 20 bills to address a 2-page law that, according to Microsoft, should be able to be understood by anybody who's gone to college? The law is very clear. There isn't any loopholes in it. There are not any gray areas in it. And if anybody has any questions about those so-called areas, I'll be happy to explain to you how and why this law was written and what rights of yours it does protect. Our Supreme Court has already decided that the law gave us rights, so that throws out all the opinions of Peter O'Connell. The only thing that they were wrong about is that it was not a new substantive right. Michigan was the first state to pass the medical marijuana law. We did that back in 1979. When we passed that law, the way that it was, if we didn't have enough marijuana that we were getting from the federal program, then law enforcement was supposed to take the confiscated marijuana that they had taken from the recreational users and give it to us patients. Boy, what a difference 40 years makes in an attitude, you know. Now they don't want to return it even when they're ordered to by the court. If you have a lawyer who's telling you that you have to take a plea, don't do it. Do not do it. Instead, demand what the man has told you you have a right to, a speedy trial. Tell him you would just go ahead and waive all your rights except to a trial by a jury of your peers. I seriously doubt if your peers use e juris de jurum in order to interpret the law, even though they tell us that they're supposed to interpret our law liberally so that it accomplishes the purpose that we passed the law for. If anybody doubts the purpose that we passed this law, all you need to do is look at what Matt Abel said when he was in court in Larry King's case the first time around, when he pointed out to the judge, the section 2B of this law starts with the word consequently. Folks, that's what we expected to happen. These are the expected consequences. Consequently, changing state law will stop the vast majority of patients who have a medical need to use marijuana from getting arrested. That was the purpose that we passed this law for. And they're trying to use it to put a target on our back. We have to stop this. We cannot let them take those rights away from us.
Thank you, Victor. I'm going to ask the next few speakers to come up, and please try to shorten your remarks a little bit. At 2:30, just so you have housekeeping here. It's now something like 5 or 10 minutes after 2. At 2:30, we're going to have to move off of the steps down below. We'll still be able to use the sound. But at 3 o'clock, we're done here. So all of the speakers, please try to keep some courtesy for the people next to you or after you. I know I went on and on, but you guys can't. Haha, thank you. I'm glad some people laugh. The next speaker is a person who works at Cannabis Council, who's been an activist for a long time, who came here as a refugee from Ohio and is going to tell you about her experience. Miss Brandy Zink.
Thank you. Thank you, beautiful. I want to recognize and honor all of you, and especially honor our fallen Greg Starks, our brother in arms, and our sister Renee Wolf, and all those who have walked on to help us live on their legacy. That's right. Let's give a round of applause for all of you beautiful people. Renee Wolf, I want to say one thing about this woman who inspired me so much as an activist. This is a woman who you could clearly see in every inch of her body how she must have suffered some kind of tremendous pain, and yet she bared that pain with grace and dignity, and I never once ever heard her say a negative word about anything or anyone. And if we all could greet each other with hello, beautiful, I know this world would be a much better place. So caregivers, please take care of your patients, and patients, give thanks to your caregivers. And now we must all rally together. We must all rally together to keep our act intact. We must kill these bills before the Senate, these oppressive, restrictive bills that take us backwards. We must look forward into the future so that we can have safe access for patients, so we will stop arresting patients for medical marijuana. I'm tired and sick and tired of saying stop arresting patients for medical marijuana. And now we have a law. Who is better off now? 4 years later. Are you better off now, 4 years later, since the medical marijuana law has passed? Yes, I think we all are better off. And I want our legislators to understand that we are better off. We are better parents and grandparents. We are better teachers. We are better at everything we do because we have the relief from the cannabis. So you shall not take our rights away. We need you people to get active, not just the people here. This is a very small representation of the 100,000 plus people who have yet to receive their card from the registry. There are lots of problems we have to fix in the registry. We do not need to solve them through these bills. We all know that that's why we're here. So in order to make this day even more meaningful, I urge you all to get involved. Please join Michigan NORML. Join Americans for Safe Access. Join the Michigan Moms Against the Drug War. They need your support. They need your dollars. They need your membership dollars. So I urge you all, please join these organizations today if you haven't already done so. Your continued membership means that we can keep fighting in the legislature. So thank you. Please keep walking in beauty. Keep fighting the good fight. And thank you all. Make sure you drop by your senator's office and tell him to kill these bills and keep our act intact.
Thank you, Brandy's Inc. The next speaker is Jack Einhart from MOCC, Macomb Oakland Compassion Center.
Hello, welcome. I come here representing Compassion Clubs. We started ours in 2008. It was more or less to educate people. How we got started was a man sitting in the audience was Brad. He was going around different cities starting up these Compassion Clubs for the public. We'd come up with some kind of brochures to hand out with the laws that we thought that we had to abide by back then. Unfortunately, 4 years later, we're still fighting those laws. Again, I'm here representing Compassion Clubs, and I think everybody should belong to one because they're local. And if you can fight your stuff local, it makes it a lot easier to expand out to the state. So if we can get you to join a Compassion Club, Michigan NORML, I don't care what club, but if you can do it together, it makes it a lot easier for all of us. When you do it as a group and not as yourself, you can spread the word a lot quicker and faster. Again, I can't believe that we're all here 4 years later. I did tell Matt I'd wrap this up. I had like a 20-minute speech. So we're not going to talk all about that because you guys heard it all for the last 2 hours. Again, thank you. You guys are the true warriors. Again, thank you for coming and supporting us, patients and caregivers and Michiganders. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to take a little thing here and mention our Harvest Fest. Again, for us clubs to operate, we do look for fundraisers to bring money into our clubs so we can get the news out to the communities about the laws of Michigan with medical marijuana. So September 29th, next Saturday in Macomb Township, we're having our 4th annual Harvest Fest. And it's gotten bigger and better every year. So hopefully we'll see you out there. If you need directions, let me know. Talk to you later. See you next week.
All right, thank you, Jack. You know, you guys, I got to tell you, Jack Einhart is one of the hardest working guys. He's the director, the head of the MOCC, and you see him everywhere. He was at the Mackinac Bridge. He's been at the Cannabis Cup events. He's been at Macomb County stuff. He's just everywhere, and Jack's a real hard worker, and we really appreciate that. The next person here is a victim of the drug war, and he's here to briefly tell you about his experiences. Mr. James Barber, ladies and gentlemen.
How y'all doing today? 4 years ago, the people here in our great state of Michigan passed the Medical Marijuana Act by a 63% margin. Our law was written, when our law was passed, it was written. Since the 2010 election, elected officials, along with the Attorney General's office, have tried everything in their power to shut the law down. Recently, Supreme Court rulings and appeals court rulings have strengthened our law. Elected officials are now trying to attempt to rewrite our law by giving law enforcement our names. This will violate our right to privacy. They also want to shut down all existing dispensaries. This will violate our right to safe access. Undermining the will of the people is unacceptable. We the people will not tolerate this behavior from people who have the nerve to ask us for our vote while ignoring our law that we voted in. We the people, for the people, by the people. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Is Jerry Glasscock in the house? I've heard Jerry's here. He's the next speaker on the list, so maybe he was just here in spirit. But Somebody told me they saw Jerry. Yeah, he is here? All right, well, as he's making his way up, Jerry, if you're here, we'd like to hear from you. Bill Wolf, Mike McShane, Mike McHaney, and Gersh Avery in that order. Please, if you will, keep it to a minute or so. And I know where Gersh is. All right, let's hear from Gersh Avery, ladies and gentlemen. While he's making his way down here, let me tell you, Gersh is one of the hardest working, widest traveled activists in Michigan. I called him one day. I said, Gersh, where are you? He says, I'm headed across the U.S. too. I'm in the Upper Peninsula. And he travels far and wide to serve patients and to educate them. One of our greatest activists here in Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, Gersh Avery.
Thank you. Thank you. This law got passed almost 4 years ago now, and there are two primary applications that medical marijuana has been approved for by law. First is palliative, and the other is therapeutic. Now, we all understand palliative. It returns appetite, it takes away pain, things like that. Therapeutic. It was approved by the voters for therapeutic applications, and our doctors are still not using it. Now, what do we mean by therapeutic? How about curative properties? We need our doctors taking advantage of this God-made material to save people's lives, not just make them feel good, but to save people's lives. I've seen MRI reports where MS lesions disappeared. We all are hearing about cancers going away. We're hearing about these therapeutic usages, but we're doing it in our bathtubs and our kitchen sinks, when the doctors and the hospitals should be using these materials to keep people alive. And why aren't they doing it? Because our government has gone behind closed doors and threatened every one of them to stay away from it. This material was approved for therapeutic usage. Our doctors need to start saving people's lives. Neuropathic pain, that's a topic of mine I've been happy with be talking about lately. The kind of pain that comes from diabetes. It feels like you're standing on porcupines all the time. We can turn that pain off in 45 seconds, but not just turn the pain off, we can return feeling to the area. I've seen people with severed nerves from surgeries where feeling has returned to the area. Do you realize the implication that has for people who are under paralysis? Therapeutic usage needs to start up seriously with our medical professionals, and as long as law enforcement is going behind closed doors and threatening our doctors, it's not going to happen. There was no science involved in making marijuana illegal. It was just declared as a political move that it had no benefit and it was not safe. By law, the voters said that's wrong. By law, it is safe. By law, it is effective. That is the law in this state. It's safe, effective for both palliative and therapeutic, and the doctors need to start working with it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Gersh. That guy knows more medicine than a lot of doctors do, I think. They ought to give him an honorary medical degree or something. We ought to start calling him Dr. Avery. I don't know. So, did anybody find Jerry? All right. How about Bill Wolf? Mike McShane, I know Mike is here. All right. This person has an interesting story, and he's an activist, and boy, he gets his picture in the paper all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Mike McShane.
Let me just say it, that marijuana cures cancer, straight up, folks. That's why we're all here. That's what brought me to the table, and it saved my butt. Gersh Avery right behind me was the one that taught me about Rick Simpson oil, and it really worked. It worked for me, and now it's working for other people. Working big time. Me and some friends just got back from Boston. We had 80,000 of you folks in a park on Saturday afternoon. Hillary Delaney and Jerry Farnell from the Michigan Midwest Cultivator sponsored a big part of that. Had a great time and got a little bit more of a national perspective. Second time I was in Boston. The first time I was in Boston, I took a destroyer into town. We sailed in from the Middle East. We made a quick stop in New York City. I opened a hatch up first thing in the morning as the sun came up, and I saw the Statue of Liberty on Ellis Island. It was a remarkable sight. The second thing I saw on that trip in Boston Harbor was a ship that was named by George Washington. It was a three-masted frigate by the name of the USS Constitution. That ship was a hemp-powered vehicle. We pulled in with 1,200 pounds of steam. Those boys would go around the world fighting the baddest navies in the world under sail using hemp, successfully defending the country. And one of the things I noted on the tour when I went was their sick bay. The floor was painted red. The floor was painted red because there was always blood on the floor. It was a very barbaric existence on a ship back then with the type of weapons used, and the medicine just didn't get it. What they really did was they just simply cut off the bad part, stitched you up, and hoped for the best. I've had cancer 4 times, and that's what they did to me 350 years later. Things haven't really improved any until I met Gersh Avery and all you folks and found out about medical marijuana. Being a smoker all those years, I never really, I'm agonizing with the issue. How can I get through this? How can I live through cancer? And I'm smoking a joint the whole time. It was crazy. But, the reason I came here to buy this shirt, really, but to defend the voters, the people, the patients, and the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you for coming.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Next, a person I just met, but somebody I've known on the internet a little bit, Denise Robbins, who's connected with the Jackson Farmers Market. She's here to tell you about it. Welcome, Denise.
Hi. First of all, I'm not very good at this, and I have nothing prepared. The only thing I can actually tell you is what I've witnessed myself. I witnessed my mother, who's had lung cancer 3 times. The first time, they took part of her left lung. The second time, they took another third of the same lung. The third time, they wanted to take a chunk off of the other lung. She said, "What am I going to breathe with?" They said, "We can't help you." So I introduced her to Joe Kane, and he put her on the Simpson oil. This was back in March. She went up in April for surgery. She went up for her pre-surgery, her pre-admission testing. And when they looked at her x-rays, her tumor had reduced by over half in less than a month. The only thing I can say is, thank you. My mother is alive today because of one miraculous plant and one man that was willing to work with somebody. Thank you, Joe Kane. I love you.
Thank you, Denise. Yeah, Becky Fogarty and Ryan Jones, please come forward. And next, Roger Mulford. Roger is from Jackson, and he's been doing a lot of work with patients down there, and we'll tell you all about it. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you. Wow, look at the crowd out here. Appreciate you all hanging out here. There's a few people that have left, but this is I got 2 minutes. So we're here today to protect the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, and for those that feel so that it is to protect it from those that feel it is poorly written and might endanger the health, safety, and the welfare of our children. But I'm here to tell you today that it is not about how our law is written. It is not about the health, safety, and welfare of our children. It is about money, power, and greed. Money, power, and greed. Senator and ex-sheriff Rick Jones has stated that he wants to change the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our children. That's noble of Senator Jones that he is concerned about the health, safety, and welfare of our children. The problem is, Senator Jones has been caught in a lie about his concern. Earlier this year, Senator Jones introduced and lobbied and got passed a law to allow larger fireworks to be sold in the state of Michigan. The reason he gave is that some people are crossing state lines to buy fireworks, and those states are getting the sales tax. And so by bringing it into the state of Michigan, we would receive sales tax and licensing fees just to sell those fireworks. And so he got it passed. Well, since that law went into effect earlier this year, Senator Jones is responsible for the injury and disfigurement of children across the state. More children have been injured by this law this year than marijuana ever has. No child has ever been injured by marijuana just by its prohibition. Mr. Jones does not care about the health, safety, and welfare of the children. He cares about money, power, and greed. It is time we take our government back and demand that we have the health options available to us, including the unrestricted use of marijuana for therapeutic or palliative benefits, as well as the prevention of oxidative-associated diseases, that our U.S. government owns a patent on the cannabinoids associated with marijuana. They know the benefits behind it, and we have to take it back and use it. So, for all of us that are out here, we need to take our government back for the people. But in the words of Mitt Romney, let me quote him, because this is important. Remember, corporations are people too. Remember, corporations are people too. What this is about is money, power, and greed. This November, get out there, vote green, not greed. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Yes. And next, an artist, a musician, an all-around good guy, and quite the activist, Mr. Chris Collins.
Cannabis cures cancer. You've heard that statement before. It's all over the internet. But you won't hear it from any sanctioned medical professional, because even if they find it to be true, they can't publish their findings without risking their practice. Because the government doesn't want you to talk about it. They want you to believe the same lies, the same deceptions. Well, I know cannabis cures cancer because I've seen it with my own eyes. This isn't the only thing that cannabis can do. It is a miracle plant with hundreds of documented uses. But there are those who, by virtue of their elected positions, believe that cannabis should be controlled, that it is a dangerous gateway drug. They haven't seen what I've seen. They haven't witnessed the miraculous healing power of Rick Simpson oil and how this is saving lives which would otherwise be lost. They won't open their eyes to the facts, but these same elected officials will make laws that declare you and me criminals for using this miracle plant, God's plant. And until they at least make an effort to see the amazing things cannabis can do, they are abusing their power, and we need to get them out of office. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Collins. And next, another activist, a young man from Jackson who's been affiliated with the Jackson Compassion Club. Is that the Farmers Market, the Jackson Farmers Market? Mr. Ryan Jones, everybody.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? I just prepared this last night, so, I mean, it's whatever it is. Things are going to change. I can feel it. It's a vague statement, but it's truthful. Everyone here is here for a purpose. We are tired of being walked on and abused. We are tired of being victimized. There are too many sick in the hands of these monsters behind me that are trying to change the laws and the things that we, the people, have worked so hard to change and to achieve all of the things that we worked so hard to do. I'm sorry. I'm very nervous right now, but we are all mature enough to know when we've been injusticed. So ask yourselves and ask these people behind me, do we want these changes to our laws? Do we want to let every law official in the state, from the local PD to the park ranger, to know where we live? No. I'm a private citizen. I am a citizen, to say the least. We've come too far to let these people change the way that we live and the way that we have tried so hard to, yeah. So, the things that we are trying to change are, bleh. Okay. Yeah. So things are going to change, but hopefully they will come to reason and they will listen to what we have to say. So please, everybody, let us all turn on, tune in, and drop out.
All right. Thank you very much, Ryan Jones. And next, Mr. Elwood Miller. Elwood, if you'd come forward, please. Elwood is a patient, and he's here to tell you about his experiences. Thank you, brother.
Hello, everybody. This is my first rally, and I'm getting a huge kick out of this. Well, let's start off. They've called us the Green Menace, the Devil's Weed, and most recently the Scourge. This flies in the face of the fact that 56% of the population is in favor of medical marijuana, 36% oppose it, and leaves 8% undecided. Yet, as taxpayers, we are paying billions of dollars to house these so-called criminals. Every 37 seconds, somebody is arrested. Excuse me. Despite research and studies, even back clear into the 70s, for one, Dr. Peter Bourne, the Office of Drug Abuse, 1977, subject marijuana, no serious medical consequence. In others, let's see, sorry about that. Dr. Bertram Brown, National Institute of Mental Health, no serious medical consequences. Even Nixon's own commission stated marijuana was harmless, but we all know he ignored that. The British Advisory Council, cannabis is the best violence inhibitor. So where's all this rising crime around the medical marijuana community? But what I really want to talk about today is the fact that with all these little stunts pulled by Rick Jones and Bill Schuette, it's only trying to accomplish one thing, and that is to scare the rest of the medical marijuana patients that want to be medical marijuana patients into the shadows, where they want them to be ashamed of it. They want you to feel dirty about it. Medical marijuana in general, period, is not anything to be ashamed of. It's helped countless thousands of people out. And there's another question I'd like to know, and that is just where is all of our money going? What honorable deed are they doing with our money that they can't implement things like, the qualifying conditions, for example? What about that? I'd like to have somebody answer that question. There's been a hell of a lot of money going through there, and nobody seems to know where it's at, where it went, what they did with it. Well, that's all I have to say for today, folks. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Elwood Miller, the second. Next, the publisher, I'm sorry, I said that before, the editor of the MMM report, Mr. Ed Gorski.
Everybody, thanks, Matt. Thank you for coming. My name is Ed Gorski, and I am the editor of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Report. Although the majority of Michigan medical marijuana patients have been silent during the implementation and subsequent proposed transformations to the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, the time is now dire to take a strong and unified opposition to these proposed changes that would have a detrimental effect on patient and caregiver rights. I personally, being involved in this industry, have witnessed how marijuana has benefited people. I have seen tumors disappear using Simpson oil. I have seen people in chronic pain become productive members of society and earn a modest living. I've also seen the economic benefits of this great herb. I've talked to countless grow shop owners who depend on patients and caregivers such as yourselves to earn a living. I've talked to caregivers who earn modest amounts of money providing a medicine for their patients. If anyone is getting rich off this industry, I have yet to meet them. I want to know, these restrictions that these politicians want to impose will have a trickle-down effect that will cripple an already struggling economy. Why can't they embrace us and show us the compassion that we deserve? But no, they would rather fight. Well, we're ready. They tried to fight us when we implemented the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act in 2008. Well, they lost then, and they will lose now. Stop fighting a war that has already been fought and focus on serious crime. I know it must be easy to go after patients and caregivers. I mean, we're an easy target. We're nonviolent, we're peaceful. Well, they have backed us into a corner, and these lawmakers must know that the time has come for us to fight. No more will we be a target. If you're looking for someone to come and save the day, look in the mirror. You are the only one that can save us. And your voice needs to be heard. There are almost 250,000 of us involved in the Michigan Medical Marijuana Registry. So where is everyone? I can only assume that they don't know what our elected officials are plotting. Well, you do. And it's your responsibility to educate your family and educate your friends about the restrictions that they want to impose on us. We will win this war. We will not win with violence, we will not win with brawn, but we will win with our voice. So, in closing, I know time is short, so I will close with a quote from Jennifer Aniston. She says, "I enjoy smoking cannabis, and I see no harm in it." Stay classy, Michigan.
Thank you, Ed. And I enjoy smoking cannabis, and I see no harm in it. Right? Next, an activist who is everywhere. Somebody who's been a victim, who's been put on trial, and who's lived to tell about it. Miss Ann Wilbur.
Hello, thanks everybody for coming out today. I really appreciate seeing all your faces out here. I wanted to just touch on my experience when I went to speak at the House Judiciary Committee. I heard Representative Irwin ask Lieutenant Gill of the multi-jurisdictional task forces how they were getting into these caregivers' homes. And he told them they're using confidential informants. And when they get into there with these confidential informants, they're finding that 62% of the people they go to see are out of compliance. And I wanted to just jump up and yell at them that that's insanity. Because as we know, the multi-jurisdictional task forces have been instructed to not honor paperwork, and that's how they're getting our plants. And I really feel that it's pretty important that we put a stop to this. So let's have some SWAT accountability now.
Thank you, Ann Wilbur. Mayor Erb, your name is next on the list, so I'm glad you're right here and available for us. And Uncle Tom and Mayor Erb together, thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I came down here from Petoskey, Michigan to share a story with you today.
Last year in 2011, I was diagnosed as a stage 4 cancer patient. I underwent the radiation treatments and stuff because I was unaware of the Rick Simpson oil. I went to my doctor and he discovered that it was in my prostate, and I did an MRI and I discovered that it was further than that. It had entered my lymph node, it had came out and entered into my tailbone. Well, after that I went through and I did 10 sessions of the radiation, which I wish I never would have done. I'll never do it again. I highly wouldn't recommend anybody else doing it. After that, they did another test on that and they discovered that it had entered my liver. And at that point in time, they had given me 2 to 3 months to live. Mayor Herb here and my niece Sherry, they introduced me to the Simpson oil. And I said, well, what is Simpson oil? None of us knew. And they said, Uncle Tom, we're going to come and get you. We're going to bring you down here and we're going to put you on the Simpson oil. So the 3 of us together, we made the Simpson oil. I stayed in their camper down there and I slept for 3 weeks. Seriously. They knocked me right out. Well, I came out of there and we made up some more Simpson oil and then they sent my little butt home. Well, I went there and I did some Simpson oil for a little while. I went back and I had some more testing done and I discovered that it was at 3.9 and then it had came down at that point in time to a 2.3. Well, I continued staying on the Simpson oil and I stopped everything that the doctors had to offer. They told me that we'll give you these shots that'll prolong your death and they cost $900 a piece. And they give it to me 1 time a month. And then the side effect of that was I could grow breasts. Oh no, so I stopped doing everything and I continued on the Simpson oil probably another 1.5 to 2 months longer. I went in and I had another test done and I came back as 0.1. I've been cancer free now for 13 months. God bless you all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Uncle Tom. And Mayor, we need to hear from you, for sure.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. I think what we need to do is start working more together, getting everybody. Heck, I even got the Amish people interested in the Rick Simpson oil and the hemp plant. So, you know, just when you find somebody, you know, talk to them and explain to them how it's helping people. And, you know, the only way they're going to know is if we tell them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Joel Nior. Joel is going to tell us about the power of coconut oil. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Joel. Welcome.
You guys have heard many stories about how all these oils have helped people in different things. I've seen with my own eyes it shrink tumors down to nothing. Glaucoma pressures go from 50 to 15 and 16% in 1 week. It is just amazing what these things can do. I was on the LAR website and they said we have a little over 131,000 card holders right now, which is awesome. Hopefully a year from now it'll be 200,000. But the problem is a majority of us are not utilizing these oils. We're smoking. And don't get me wrong, there's many benefits to inhaling marijuana, but there's many more to cannabis-infused coconut oils and Rick Simpson oil itself. You can rub it on sore muscles and cancer, and it will go away. We're not smoking getting high here, people. If we all start utilizing these oils more, you can go up to a non-smoker and a non-believer and say, oh, you got a torn rotator cuff. Try rubbing some of this oil on it. It works. I have a torn rotator cuff. I'm using cannabis-infused coconut oil, not Vicodin. We all need to work together on this. Caregivers, talk to your patients about these oils. The patients here, educate your caregivers. Tell them, do you know how to make cannabis-infused coconut oil? It's simple, and it is effective. And if we all start utilizing these, the non-believers are going to understand, Maybe they aren't just a bunch of stoners standing around smoking blunts. We are all fired up right now. We need to go home and talk to our friends, our neighbors, our politicians. Explain about these oils and the true medicinal values of this plant. We got a hard fight, guys, but if we stick together and work hard, we can win this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joel. And yes, coconut oil is quite a wonderful thing, especially when you mix it with cannabis and you apply it either in food or topically or anyway. Is Scotty Bowman in the house? Well, our friend Scotty Bowman is running for the United States Senate on the Libertarian Party, and he's 420 friendly, so we hope Scotty might win. But Steve Sharp is in the house, one of our greatest activists. While Steve's making his way to the stage, let me tell you, about 2 weeks ago, Steve called me 8 o'clock in the morning. I thought, well, this must be an emergency. Steve's calling me on my cell phone 8 o'clock in the morning. I pick it up. Steve says, I'm up here at the Capitol. I just left my senator's office, and I'm going to the next one, and I got to just tell you about it. And I said, Steve, God bless you, man. He's up here working hard every day, and we need 1,000 people like Steve Sharp. If we did, marijuana would have been legal yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to introduce to you one of our greatest activists, Mr. Stephen Sharp.
Thank you. And whose house is this really? That's the way it's supposed to be. What I want to do today is thank Joe Kane because I think he's a nut. I've always said Joe was a nut, but he pulled this off again. Thank you, Joe. I'd like to explain how I kind of got involved in this because I'm a cancer survivor. And I cured my own cancer with hemp oil, cannabis oil. And I tried to explain this to the doctors, to anybody that would listen. Nobody wants to listen. Why don't they want to listen? They don't want to do testing on this. So I became really involved. So the best thing that happened to me was I joined this Vote Green initiative with Ben Horner. Thank you, Ben. And Ed Gorski and Jamie Lowe and Rick Thompson. I went up to Flint and I found out what this green initiative was about. So I became a precinct delegate. I put my name on the ballot and I actually got the most vote because my community knows I'm into cannabis. I know what it is. I know what it works. And they know because they listen to me in the restaurants, in the stores, anywhere anyone will talk about this or listen to me, I talk about it. So I'm not mad up there. And this was before he became our normal director. Great job, Matt. So with talking with him and joining the Committee for Safer Michigan and to get the legalization effort going, everyone really has to help here. This whole crowd, you're all really clapping, but you really need to clap for yourself. Go down to your local meetings. Get involved. Because what happened was, I got with Tim Beck, I got with Matt, I got with these people that said you can do this, and it really is so easy. You go in and you talk from the heart. You make sure you know what you're talking about, though. Make sure you have your facts down about hemp, about cannabis. It cures cancer. Nobody's ever died from it. So if you're going to reschedule something, reschedule it under aspirin, because aspirin kills people. And trying to tell doctors this, they just can't comprehend this at all. So what I did was I joined the Vote Green initiative. So my name got put on the ballot. I actually won that by double the person below me. And by doing that, it really made a statement to actually my township, Leone Township in Jackson County, and I appreciate everybody's vote. So I made sure they voted me in, so I became a Republican delegate. So I go on to the state alternate. So a lot of people don't show up to this. This is what I need you people to do. The Republicans don't want to actually be there. They just want to say that they're a delegate, but they didn't show up. My vote counted. My vote counted as a delegate. And if you want your vote to count, run for delegate, because what I'm finding out is you can't be in this fight without being on the rules committee. Guess who the rules committee is? The delegates. The delegates. So this time, I want everyone, please go out there and run for something. It doesn't have to be a paid job. Just go and show your face and talk from the heart. Learn all the things that you can about cannabis. And some of the other things on here, which was already mentioned, was about the LLEPs. Make sure we have a bunch of Jackson folks here. We need 1,100 signatures, and we didn't get them. We need people to step up and go get some of this stuff. And one last thing is the ASA, Americans for Safe Access, versus the DEA. The oral arguments are on October 16th in the Court of Appeals. So make sure you get a hold of your delegates, get a hold of your representatives, your senators, and the state senators, and tell them to stop anything they're doing with medical marijuana or cannabis, any laws that are being made, because this just may change it. If they bring it off the schedule, all the work they're doing is for nothing. So please, run for an office. Help me.
Thank you, Stephen Sharp. Is Michael Bauer here? Michael, if you are, please come tap me on the shoulder. And now, a brief commercial message, if you would, from our good friend Stephen Green. Steve is at many, many events. He's taped and broadcast several of the hearings of the House, the Senate Judiciary Committees, and here today. And we need to support Steve. It costs money to travel and to have this equipment and to broadcast it. So I'm going to let Steve make the pitch.
Thanks. You know, it wasn't so much a pitch. I guess I just wanted to remind people about the upcoming election cycle and to vote for your medical marijuana-friendly candidates. In Oakland County, we've got Mike Bouchard, who's been running a campaign about arresting patients and caregivers. He's been knuckling down on these people at the behest of the Attorney General Bill Schuette. He's been working in concert with the Oakland County prosecutor, Democrat Jessica Cooper. The way that you get these people to stop acting against us is to vote them out of office. Jane Felice Boudreau is running for office against Bouchard. Please vote him in. We've got Eric Gunnels, who's right over here, running for Thetford Township in Genesee County. Vote for your medical marijuana-friendly candidates, please. Also, we are doing some broadcasting out here today. We're streaming this live. We record this for you all the time. If you've got an opportunity, please support us. We're at radioweedshow.com. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Steve. And actually, Michael Brower is here, but he said that in the interest of time, he's willing to give up his time. Thank you very much, Michael. And thank you for broadcasting or for photographing this. I assume you're doing video as well. And thank you for that. We really appreciate it. If not for all of these hardworking activists, we wouldn't be able to get the message out as well as we can. So while there are a lot of people here, there are a lot more people who are watching at home, if you will. And looks like a bunch of people in white coats here coming across the street. I wonder if they're medical professionals and if they know about all of the wonderful uses of cannabis as medicine. And now, a person who's come here from Muskegon, who's an activist, who's running Diane's Compassionate Service in Muskegon, Michigan. Please welcome Diane Foster, everyone.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that some of the folks have said today. One of them is we really need to educate people. I find that more people are very uneducated. Every time I talk to someone that's never used this or been a part of this, really doesn't know a whole lot about it. I think we assume people know more than they do. So educating really is the number one thing we need to do. The second thing is, these cards are fraudulent. These cards we're paying for are insurance policies. and we're not getting the insurance we're paying for. So we need to find out why they're charging $25 to some people and who's the $100 for. They had to have had two different subjects in mind when they made up this card amount. And it wasn't all sick people, because $25 is what the sick people pay and the disabled pay, and $100 is for who is that? Who's the $100 person? I want to know, because the rest, it's not for the caregivers, because they can't do it without a patient. So these cards are not the insurance policies we were paying for from our state. $25 and $100 to get pulled over, for it to mean nothing to our judges, because the judges, the only thing they know is Cannabis pays their house payment. Cannabis sends them on vacations. That's what they know. They don't know it cures cancer. And if they do, they're not telling. They aren't letting us know they know. And I'll tell you something else they know. The judges know what's going on before we do with our state government and what's going on behind closed doors. They're very aware of all the movements that the people behind us are trying to make, long before we are. And I'd like to know why that is, how they're so aware. They're keeping in touch with each other. We need to keep in touch with each other. We are not sticking together the way we should be. We're not educating each other the way we should be. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, Diane Foster. And now, I think it's entirely appropriate. The next speaker is a person who decided to take unto himself the obligation to run for public office. You know, either the people, the representatives that we have, either they change the law or we have to change them. And so Eric Gunnels is one of the people who stepped up to change who the people are in Thetford Township in Genesee County, Michigan. And it is my expectation that Mr. Gunnels will be elected Thetford Township trustee November 6th, 2012. Please welcome Eric Gunnels, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure being here, and thank you all for coming out. I'd like to thank the Cannabis Council and Matt Abel and all of them for the repeal campaign. I helped out with that. It was a great honor and privilege, and it was a great exciting time to be able to do that here in 2012. That was what prompted me, I think most of all, to become a candidate for a public office, because I realized I had a little bit of speaking skills, and I wanted to put those skills to good work. Also, the township in my area refuted medical marijuana when I first came to them. So I wanted to be able to say to them, okay, from now on, I'm not going to talk to you from down there. I'm going to be behind the bench, and I'm going to help make the rules for this country. I'm going to help make the rules for these states. We're going to change this stuff. I'm sick and tired of this crap and these politicians that don't hear a word you have to say because they have the power and authority sitting where they are to not have to listen to you. Well, they will have to listen to me, because I will win that spot this election, and I hope that all you support me, support everybody else that's running for a local position. We encourage everyone to get out there, and if you know somebody that you think would be a good candidate for running for an office the next time, encourage them. They need that encouragement. We all need that encouragement, and I'm encouraged by all of you, and that's why I'm here doing this. That's why I want to do this, because it's been my lifelong dream to help bring to light the truth about marijuana, because it's been a lie. The government's been spreading nothing but lies for years, and the lies has affected my life and the lives of others for many years. I know that we're running out of time, and I'll make this real quick. I did a couple radio shows. I had one of the first AM radio stations for medical marijuana, dedicated totally to it. I do the co-host of the Genesee County Compassion Club show on flinttalkradio.com every Wednesday at 3. You can check that out or archive that. Also, I want to encourage everyone to keep on talking to your elected officials, both on a local level, because the local level officials have more power than you think they do. when they tried to resist what I was trying to do by opening up a dispensary or a compassion center in my area, I was angered by that because they didn't want to hear a word I had to say because they thought they were in the right and they were in the know when they really weren't. They had a bunch of misinformation. So it's up to all of you to step up to the microphone to educate your local officials because they're the ones that will end up educating the higher officials. And hopefully one day I will be here in this office serving you and our great state. Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you.
All right, Eric Gunnels for Thetford Township Trustee. And now, you all know who this is. What time is it? It's time to free the weed, right, Richard?
That's right.
And here he is, Richard Clement.
Free the weed! Yes, indeed. I want to welcome y'all to Lansing, Michigan. I realize the time is short. I planned a reception at a restaurant here. It's famous. This guy, Mr. Greg Eaton, has supported us and allowed me to get signatures in 2008 to make the thing legal in the first place. The address is 2510 North Martin Luther King, Lansing, Michigan. That means if you could take this street over here, 2 lights down, make a right, and take it all the way to Martin Luther King, all the way to the end until the run to the top of the hill. There's a place called Gregory's Lansing. The website is gregoryslansing.com. Basically, had a little reception for you, 420 out the patio. But what I want to say is you want to change the face of the house here, you know? Change the face. If they don't support weed, it's them we don't need. Remember, if they don't support weed, it's them we don't need. It's time to free the weed. And I'm glad to be one of the minority representatives, maybe just one of me, but all my brothers and sisters, hey, they might be scared, they're not afraid. Hey, let me tell you this. Sealed lock container. What the hell is this one? Come on, man. And as far as Bill 4834, I want the damn picture on the plate, on the card. Hey, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm an IT guy. The legal department did a wonderful job. But you know, you have to call the computer people to get the job done. And don't blame it on that printer. Hell, the computer only can do is what you're gonna tell it. And we need to tell it we want our pictures on the card. You know, we paid what, $800,000 for a printer, and the only people got things on pictures on the card is the Oakland County Police Department. Come on, man. And as far as Senator Jones, hey, I got recall language ready for him too. If you live in Eaton County, go to City Hall Recall, copy and paste it off the website, and file it right in Eaton County. You know, weed is a civil right, you know. Some of us been smoking it before you all was a sperm. We got to cut, it's 3 o'clock. I was just, you know, thank you to state employees. They needed part of their health care, okay? I want to thank all of you guys for coming to Lansing, Michigan. And I love all of you. I hope you love all of me. But we all from different backgrounds, different parts of the country. Politics is local, but we all love weed. So I hope to see you up the bash. Free it! Bong hit for Bonero too over there at City Hall.
Thank you, Richard. Free the weed, everybody. And thank you very much to Joe Kane and everybody who helped Joe and connected with this. And let's keep on keeping on, and let's legalize it and get this over with. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see y'all next time. The after party is at Gregory's Ice House on Martin Luther King Boulevard. See y'all there.